Hello friends, I'm so glad you're here. Welcome to Let Love Rise. My name is Andrea Blythe and I'm the creator of Let Love Rise, where I create community events to help people free themselves from stories that no longer serve. And I do this by tapping into the power of the mindset and the energies of the universe. So let's talk about this full moon in Gemini, which is happening at 5 degrees of Gemini on Monday, November 27th. And Gemini is a mutable air sign. And so when I think about Gemini, you think about the twins, right? There's a duality, a dualistic nature, and it's also an air sign. So air is often related to our minds, the way we think and how we process stories. So there's a bunch of ways to look at this duality. One is to think about your inner divine being, the center of who you are, the source within, the divine spirit within you. And then the other side is your physical form, this physical body that is bundled up along the river on this chilly November day in Boise, Idaho. But the physical body and the spiritual body, and how these two work together to create the being that you are, this experience that you are experiencing on this beautiful planet this time around, right? So Gemini, the dualistic between the spiritual and the earthly coming together. It can also be the mind and the heart getting. We spend a lot of time. Well, let me rephrase. I have been known to spend a lot of times in my headspace and playing stories over and over and over, which is part of the reason why I created Let Love Rise and the type of events to help people free themselves from these stories, to recognize, when is a story that I'm playing on repeat in my mind, when has that stopped being helpful? And how do I release that? How do I let go of that and embrace something new that actually will serve my best and highest good and will move me forward in the way that feels supported? So sometimes we can get stuck in our heads. And again, I'm the first to speak to that. And it's moving, Gemini is like moving out of the head space and into our other thinking center, which is our heart space, and into the feelings, getting out of the mind and into the heart, which is another way of looking at that duality between the earthly body and the spiritual body, and just embracing all the complexity that bears with it. Gemini is ruled by the sign of Mercury, and Mercury right now is hanging out with Mars and the Sun in Sagittarius, and Sagittarius is a very fun sign. I love Sagittarius. If you're a Sagittarius, you've got a playful spirit that seeks adventure and wisdom and knowledge and new things and new experiences. And so we've got Mercury over there, but we often associate Mercury with these two words that perhaps you've heard: Mercury retrograde. And so here we are, end of November, and we're in the shadow of Mercury retrograde. So this crazy year of 2023 is going to end in a Mercury retrograde. Interestingly enough, it also began in a Mercury retrograde. So Mercury, the sign that rules Gemini, is going to go retrograde on December 12th and will be there, I believe, until January 2nd. And so whenever Mercury goes retrograde, it is just an extra time to be mindful of communications. And of course, this is happening over the holiday season, right? Perhaps you are going to be celebrating Christmas or the solstice or New Year's or Kwanzaa or whatever it is that you celebrate in December. Hanukkah, there are so many holidays that we celebrate in December where we gather with family, we gather with friends, and we're going to be in Mercury retrograde. So this moon is also just gonna shine some light on your communication, how you communicate, and do you communicate right away out of your head or right away out of your heart? And are you reactive, and then do you later look back and kind of regret things that you said? So if that has been a pattern, it's also about noticing patterns that we have been living through. patterns as we're coming out of the eclipse cycle. So if you have been with me for a little bit, or if you've been tuning into the astrological energies that have been present during 2023, first of all, can I just get a like, whoa, what a year it's been. It kind of started out slow back in January, February, but come March, the energies have been so massive with so many huge planetary shifts. We've had two big planets, Saturn and Pluto, moving signs, which doesn't happen very often, and then retrograding and moving forward, and just so many transformative, powerful energies in 2023 that have really perhaps forced you into looking deeper within, looking at your part in stories that get replayed, or the patterns or the cycles that I was talking about, where, it could be replayed in your mind again and again. And it comes to a point where you're like, okay, I'm done with this pattern. I want to be done with this pattern. So what do I need to look at? What do I need to learn here? What is my part in this? And that's really what the eclipses of October were highlighting, is our energetic interaction with the stories, and what is it that we're recognizing is a pattern that we have created, or something how we have moved through and we're recognizing that doesn't really work anymore. I think that there is another way that I want to try doing this. And one of the things I say to the universe is I'm okay to keep learning, of course, right? Like we're gonna keep learning, but gentler lessons, please. Kinder lessons, please. Gentler lessons, please. 2019 threw my world into a tailspin that just crashed down and down and down and down all the way. Even I thought it ended in 2021, the downward spiral of loss and shift and change. And if you're curious about any of the stories, or if you're in a place like that and can use the support of hearing somebody else's story being worked through, that is where Let Love Rise began, as a blog, as I used music and storytelling to really examine my life and figure out like what are the beautiful things that I can pull out of this, or what are the lessons that I can learn, and how can I take this hard story and shift it, change my mindset around it, or extract what's good, recognize what has been hard, and honor it and let it go. And let me tell you, it is an everyday release, which is why I love leading moon circles. There will be one tonight in Boise, Idaho at the Salt Sanctuary if you're local and want to join me for that. And what is powerful about the moon that I love just so much is that the moon, not only being our closest planet, and when I say planet, I realize that the moon is not a planet, but it's our closest luminary, outer luminary, and it really does affect our bodies. It rules over our emotions, our heart center, our day-to-day life here on Earth. It affects our tides and our waters. It controls the waters, and we are made up of all of that. But the moon is constantly changing. The phases of the moon, just 1 week to the next, it's completely different. And I just love that about it. So this week, the week is going to begin on Monday night, Sunday night, Monday night. If you look up, right as the sun is setting, the moon will be rising. Oh my gosh, I got a glimpse of the moonrise yesterday. It's just so beautiful. But this setting sun, this moon rising, it is illuminating our inner world, and this sign of Gemini. So this is where it's really helpful, if you know your astrological chart, to look at your chart to see what house is Gemini in. There are 12 houses of the zodiac. I highly recommend listening to Molly McCord's video on the 12 signs of the, not the 12 signs, but the 12 houses of the zodiac. But essentially, in a nutshell, Signs 1 through 6 are personal signs. It's all about ourself and how we process life through our own being. And then houses 7 through 12 are all about how we interact with others. So knowing where Gemini falls in your chart will just kind of point like where specifically this is affecting your life or shining a light in your life. And then you want to look more specifically at 5 degrees to see if you have planets or points at 5 degrees of Gemini. Conversely, on the other side, where the sun is at 5 degrees of Sagittarius. Like I said, the Mars and Mercury are also in the sign of Sagittarius. And so Mars is like a real fiery energy. So again, communication right now, how we're speaking with others is just time to be extra mindful. And when I say how we communicate with others, I also want to draw attention to how we communicate with ourselves. Because even just over the last couple of days, I noticed that I started falling into an older pattern of self-doubt and started saying some things to myself that were like making me not feel great. Like that's the beautiful thing about our bodies and our emotions is that they illuminate. They are a reflection of the thoughts that we've been thinking. Whatever it is your life experience is right now is an indicator of your previous thoughts. So just think about that for a minute and look at your life and look at all the facets of our life, right? Like we have our self, we have our health, we have our livelihood, our friends, our family, our homes, all kinds of things that create like our self, our current life circumstances. And when you look at that, it is a reflection of your inner thoughts, because thoughts truly do become things. What we think does show up in our world. And I think that for me, Thanksgiving has been a really powerful marker for my family to show the progress we made. And I might get teary-eyed here when I say this, but this Thanksgiving, hang on, I'm gonna take a deep breath. That's the other thing with air signs, just breathe. This Thanksgiving is the first that I have hosted since the divorce that was finalized in 2020. But as I said, 2019 is when my life went off the rails. And at the end of Thanksgiving Day, my daughter, who we were sharing a room because we have family in town and just like a happy, chaotic home life right now, which just brings me so much joy. But as we were settling into her room, she just said, "It was a really good Thanksgiving, Mom." And she's like, "There was nothing special about it. And that's what made it beautiful." And I couldn't agree more. It was just quote unquote normal. It was me opening up my home and cooking, and my mom and my stepdad coming over, our friends from the north with their kids and their dog, and my oldest son coming to home to the house. You know, he has moved out, but all my kids and my mom and my stepdad, and FaceTiming with family that wasn't nearby, and just, you know, eating turkey and taking walks, and, you know, kids crying and then laughing, and music and games. And it was such a powerful moment for me to recognize that, wow, really come a long way in the last year, the last 2 years, the last 3 years, the last 4 years. It's been a good four years since I have even wanted to consider inviting people into my family, or into my home. So to have that and just to sit with like, this is just so simple and normal and wonderful. All of it is show me that I have put my feet back under me, and I have faced some really hard realizations about myself, about perhaps things that were, you know, dynamics in our family that have been created over the last couple of years, and just working through it and just continually loving on each other. And then here we were having a very simple and yet incredibly powerful Thanksgiving. So if your Thanksgiving was not a reflection of the one that I'm just sharing about right now, let me just give you a word of encouragement that not only is time a healer, time is a healer, but not in and of itself. Time only heals when we put ourselves into the work. When I want to say the dark night of the soul, and it kind of is that, but it can sound extreme to some people. But we're just coming out of Scorpio season, and Scorpio, if you look at this water, Scorpio is what's below the surface. It's diving below the surface and really examining the things that are lurking there that perhaps we don't want to look at, that we don't want to face. But it's by facing the darkness and shining a light into it. And that's, again, going back to Let Love Rise. When I started sharing my story publicly, it was because I knew a light needed to shine into the darkness that I was experiencing, because I knew that I wasn't the only one experiencing it, and that there is power in storytelling. And so a lot of Let Love Rise stories are going underneath the surface and really examining, okay, well, what is this? And how have I contributed to this, and how can I pull myself out of this? And the other beautiful part about Scorpio season is it is represented by the scorpion, the water sign, and then the eagle, the higher perspective, and then the phoenix rising. The phoenix rising is the transformed self rising out of the ashes. So as we move into Sagittarius season, out of the eclipses and out of Scorpio season, we're taking everything that came through, everything that we've been working through during that very kind of tough season. Sometimes things are taken away. Voluntarily, we walk away from things, and other times things are stripped from us. And again, that was my story. Just thing after person, after place, after so many things were removed from my life, and I was not in control of that, and I had to learn how to respond to it. So going back to the idea of like gentler lessons, please. I will still be a lifelong learner. That's why I'm living on this beautiful planet Earth, right? Is to learn how to be the best Andrea Blythe that I can be, and then how to share my wisdom, the things that I'm learning on my path. And when I say my wisdom, I say it in like a very humble way. It's like, yes, there are things that I know, but it's also like the more I know, the more I don't know. But how do we take all of this that we are learning and just give it light? Let other people see our struggles. Invite other people to walk through our challenging times with us. Rumi, the mystic poet, says, "The road is yours and yours alone. People can walk it with you, but nobody can walk it for you." And that just resonates so strongly. So if you're in a dark space right now this Thanksgiving, I'm here to tell you that if you do the work, if you examine, and if you just love yourself through it, whatever it is, whatever your life circumstance is that is creating turmoil, conflict, challenge, is to look at your thoughts, your beliefs, and what's happening, and name it, own it, recognize it, see it, release what needs to be released, and forgive what needs to be forgiven. And it's not a one and done thing. It is an again and again and again thing. And I will just leave you with the announcement of what is to come in 2024. I am going to be releasing my coaching program called Rewrite Your Story. It is all about freeing yourself from stories that no longer serve, so that you can deliberately, intentionally co-create the life of your dreams, whatever your dream may be. Your dream may just be to be happy. That's my dream. I have spent so many years recently just wanting to come back to this place of happiness, because I know that that is my birthright. That's everybody's birthright. We were born from this creative source that just wants to love us and see us live our most courageously authentic life, full of joy, and then being a light to others and let it be like the ripple effect out. So I know that that is who I am at my core. And I spent several years just trying to find that again. And this Thanksgiving, I think I found it. And it feels amazing. And so if you are looking to find your joy again, if you are looking to break yourself free from patterns and stories that no longer serve, this program, Rewrite Your Story, is going to be one that will assist you, that will help guide you as you really look intentionally at how you can create your most courageously authentic life. So more to come on that, lots more to come on that. As I was speaking, I was thinking it. So this beautiful full moon in Gemini, I just hope that you can take a moment to go and see the beautiful moon. Hopefully skies will be clear like they are here in Boise, Idaho this month. And one of my most powerful teachers is a student of mine who is no longer with us on this planet in the 3D dimension. And he always said that the moon, what he loved about the moon is that just knowing that it's always there even when we cannot see it. And so if you're unable to see the moon tonight or over the next couple nights in its fullness, just knowing that sometimes we don't see the thing, but we just need to start by knowing that it's there and believing that there is this light and life is still moving. And the same could be said for sun. You know, when we don't see the sun and then you go up in an airplane and you rise above the clouds and you're like, the sun is still there. The sun, the moon, the stars, the consistency of this natural life and this cycle as you look at these trees where all their leaves have dropped, and you know, it's time to go within, to go into the winter time of our souls and really just snuggle up, love ourselves, care for ourselves and nurture ourselves as we either face some of the things that need to be faced or just enjoy the progress that we've made. You know, again, there are so many things that I have not figured out in my life, but I have found my joy again, and I have discovered that I'm renewable. I am that Phoenix rising. I have, and we all have the ability to take our hardships, to take the challenges, the detours, and to look at them as not like this is happening to me, but this is happening for me. And let's just see where this goes. Welcome to this journey called life. Okay, enough for now. So just thank you for being here. If you like the message that you heard today, please subscribe, share it with a friend. And yeah, when you look up at that moon, just feel her love pouring down on you. Listen to the whispers. What is she saying to you? And I think that she's saying I love you. You're a pretty awesome person, and I'm glad you're here. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste.